Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday to all of you. I hope you're having a great pre-Christmas week. Those are always fun weeks in the office because everyone's excited about Christmas. Maybe they're exhausted, and what a great time just to be with our practice members and encourage them to keep up with their healthy habits as we go into a season of too much sugar, not enough sleep, too much alcohol, and maybe some stressful conversations. I saw a funny ugly Christmas sweater a female chiropractor had, and it said, unvaccinated, bring on the politics, the, what was it? Bring on the politics, the pandemic, and something. I'm ready for Christmas. And I'm like, that's probably how a lot of us feel this Christmas, or like, what are those conversations going to be? This conversation today, however, is going to be all about you. Dr. ShaRhae Matousek, she is no stranger to anyone who's in my audience. Dr. ShaRhae and I have coached together for a number of years. She is a rock star boot camper. She is just always there to help out. She has done about 160,000, yes, that's right, 160,000 adjustments since going into practice. She practices in Minnesota, and her specialty is pediatrics and pregnancy. She also has the pleasure of having several other strategic partners in her practice. One is at IBCLC, and it's been really fun to just watch how the two of them have dominated the market and helping moms and babies and families at this critical time when we see so many neurological challenges for the new babies that are being born. So, Dr. ShaRhae, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I am super excited about this year at the Business Plus Boot Camp. I keep wanting to call it the PEDS Boot Camp.
I know.
But
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, it's February 23rd through the 25th at Sherman. It has in the past been called our PEDS Plus Boot Camp. And in this year, we're making it a balance between clinical and business. We have community connections, and actually just created an email. I went through all the topics and categorized them. And it's really such a beautiful balance. It is designed to help you level up your practice regardless of where you are. And one of the ways that we're doing that is each speaker is speaking for 30 minutes. And then at the end of their 30 minutes, they'll go through their top 2 takeaways for you to be able to implement into your practice on Monday after the event. And then they'll open it up to answer any questions that you have about content or implementation, because we don't want you to leave with a notebook full of notes or an iPad that's full of notes. We want you to be able to make a change in people's lives. And so that's why each speaker has really committed to here's the best of the best, and then give you 2 takeaways. That also honors Miller's Law. ShaRhae and I are in brain-centric instructional design. And one of the things that we learn in there, neurologically, our brain can only process 2 bits of information at a time. So that's another reason why speakers are really focusing on the 2 main things. So ShaRhae, let's talk about in the 2 main things that people are going to learn. There are 3 things that we've identified under those 2 pillars of examination and implementation of how docs can make a huge difference in their practice on Monday. What are you going to dive into at the Business Plus Boot Camp?
yeah, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is how to increase your clinical confidence and properly assess a child. It's something that is important to me in the talks that I do, is that you can take something home on Monday morning, that it's not that you have to put in, you can put in all this time and it's wonderful, but you want those like couple of nuggets that you can just put into practice that's going to help increase the results that you're getting and help your patients just do better faster. Second thing that we're going to talk about is to increase your knowledge in the world of TOTS. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there, and in my office specifically. So we actually, a new announcement, we have 2 IBCLCs instead of just 1 at the office. So Kirsten was an intern with our lactation consultant, Danielle. And so she has passed her IBCLC. And the knowledge that these 2 women have is just unparalleled. I've had exposure to lots and lots of lactation consultants. And so it's really fun for us to work together. So you can glean on a little bit of that knowledge that we have and that that relationship of co-treatment, which is huge. And then the third thing that we're going to talk about is just to learn an efficient framework for cranial and fascial work, because if we can kind of understand this continuum, it's easier to kind of shift and delve and know what to do. I know the age range that I'm doing is birth to 18, which is a huge difference, right? But I do cranial and fascial work even on adults. And so it's just understanding that framework so you can apply it into clinical practice.
I love that. And um, I love that you're in a hurry to help them get better. When a parent is in that situation with their child and their child is suffering, if they're not seeing results quickly, it's easy to be like, oh, well, this isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I think it's so much easier to jump into that medical realm for their child. Let's talk about something here. Like, why does it matter so much that a baby can latch on and nurse?
Well, babies have 3 jobs: to eat, sleep, and poop, right? And so when we're not latching, usually it's a sign of more than just a little bit of dysfunction or a problem with that rooting reflex or something going on. So a lot of times we're dealing with TOTS, we're dealing with fascial tension through the body. And once we get that baby to latch properly, that tongue thrust into the palate is what expands and grows the respiratory system. So it's not just about tongue, it's about development within breathing patterns, feeding patterns, speech patterns. It all just compounds and builds. And that first, like, 8 months of life, the cerebellum is what's developing. And so we get that maximum development at that 8-month mark. It's that peak development. And so we're really setting up the groundwork for everything neurologically that happens within a child's life. And if we're not correcting things right now, then we're going to start in with some of those other, like, neurodeflective disorders and things like that. We see then huge hits on learning disabilities and autism and lots of spectrum disorders. And there's so many things neurologically, especially given the last 3 years, that stress levels have upticked. And I feel like we just have this explosion of stuff happening. And as a pediatric chiropractor, you really have to stay relevant to what's going on within your patient base and what the parents are facing. And so new mom coming in needs to see those results, because right now you're worried about your baby eating. And then I think it's important to let them know kind of like why we're doing what we do. So as I treat the patient, I'm talking to the parents about, this is really great because we're doing this and this helps their development with their nasal passages, or we're doing this and it's going to allow them to have speech, or your baby's all like tightly wound up like this, or the baby's back in full flexion or extension patterns, and what are the implications. And so it's just being able to give the parents a reason for what's going on, a way that you can treat it, and that they can help their child continue with that positive progress.
And if you're watching this and you're like, I see kids, but I don't have that kind of training at all. We just want to tell you, we see you, we get you, and that's why we're doing the Business Plus boot camp the way that we are. ShaRhae just joined me and other boot campers at the Ultimate Marketing Boot Camp, and one of the things that we all discussed was, as a male chiropractor, I think especially a male chiropractor who's been in practice for a while, and you likely have this awesome reputation in your community for taking care of families. Like, you started out 25, 30 years ago taking care of families, and probably have kept up with your learning, but maybe not dove into this kind of stuff. And so the tool in your tool bags, the tools in your bag maybe are a little bit of cranial and maybe upper cervical, but not the integration of cranial and fascial and all of the stuff that ShaRhae is talking about. And so we just want to let you know, if you're a guy and you feel intimidated about going to some of the female events, or going to some of the pediatric events, where I think just culturally as a man, you're less reluctant to ask questions, we want to tell you the boot camp is your place. That it has always been a place for transparency. It's always been a place for vulnerability. We don't have cliques, and we all recognize that we're good at some things and not good at others. But when we come together, we can all really just level up. And so, if you're a male chiropractor or a male student, and you feel kind of uneasy when you go places, and yet you really want to learn about business and you really want to learn about pediatrics and just being a better doctor and business person, come to the Business Plus Boot Camp. I promise you, you are going to find it just so, it's such a breath of fresh air. It's kind of like what Mark had said. Dr. Mark has been in practice for, I don't remember, 20 or 25 years or something like that. Had never isn't even a boot camper, came to the Ultimate Marketing Boot Camp, and he stood up and shared what his experience was while he was there. And literally we were all crying. He was like, I just didn't know that there was a group like this that would accept me. I didn't know, because I've become such an island and just like kind of doing my own thing in practice. I didn't know I could be in a group of loving and accepting and people who are on fire. I didn't even know that the younger population is doing such a great job in profession. I've so much more confidence in where our profession is going. And so I just wanted to share that with all of you, that as coaches and leaders within the boot camp, that is a big mission of ours this year. Is we are 86% women, is to balance that. And to invite the men in our profession who haven't found their home yet. We'd love for you to come and join us at the Business Plus Boot Camp. And pull Dr. ShaRhae aside. She also has an intensive pediatric program called Bloom and Grow, where you can get a taste for it at the Business Plus Boot Camp. And if you like it, which you will, then you can take it a step further and really get more one-on-one and intensive help, if that's the direction that you want to go. So ShaRhae, as we wrap this up, what are you most excited about with the upcoming Business Plus Boot Camp?
Well, first of all, I was that lone island how many years ago? And so my favorite part is just getting to be in community with all of these wonderful chiropractors. It's really, really fun. And you always pick up these clinical pearls when you're talking with people. You learn so much more from people in practice. And I've seen some of the speaker lineup. So I know we're talking, there's like a 30-minute thing on associates, which is always kind of a, it's a hard subject, right? Getting the right pay, making sure everybody's happy, all of those things. Sarah Perry, I don't know how to say her new last name.
Oh, Kunchik.
Yeah. So she's talking a little bit about integrated practices. I think that's going to be really exciting. I mean, everybody that is on the speaker lineup is great. Monica Berger's on there. Like, everybody's fantastic. And so it'll be really nice. I think the way that you're positioning it too, with those like little nugget things. I mean, after 30 minutes, your eyes start to kind of glaze over and you were super excited and you took a ton of notes at the beginning. And so I think it'll be a way for all of us to kind of implement those two pillars into our practices and be able to take that away and get some really good knowledge. So all of it is going to be great.
Yeah. And this year, if you haven't done this event with us before, so starting, this is our 4th year, and starting 3 years ago, I rented a house so that we could have a slumber party. And so this year, and then each year we add on another house. This year we have 4 houses. And we'll be doing some of the same things that we do every year on Wednesday before the event. The event starts on Thursday. On the Wednesday before the event, we'll be having our Wednesday mixer, pizza party mixer at the boot camp house on Lake Bowen. We'll also have a VIP dinner. There's just lots of fun time for community and deep connection. So, one of the things that has always come up about the boot camp is just like how tight and meaningful our relationships are. And so We're also really all sensitive to newcomers. So trust me, you won't feel like you're on the outskirts unless you choose to be there. So one of the reasons I have the boot camp houses as well, so that you can stay in a boot camp house with us and get to know everyone, like after the event, put on your jammies, grab a bowl of popcorn, and let's hang out and talk and get to know one another. So on the registration link, I put it in the comment section. Grab your ticket. You'll save $100 by doing it before the end of the year. There are CEs that we've applied for available in many states. So on that link that is in the comment section, you can check and see if your state is included. And we just want to tell you all Merry Christmas. And we look forward to seeing you February 23rd through the 25th. I know there is a Parker going on. I got to tell you, this will be a lot different than that. There won't be thousands of people. We'll have a nice tight knit community. We're expecting about 200 this year. And we have lots of time for Q&A. We're even starting with a panel discussion this year. And Dr. ShaRhae and Dr. Andrea, who both have been in practice for decades, will be presenting cases and then going through the cases and being like, okay, this is what we found. This is how you set up a care plan. This is what the financial plan looked like, and walking you through that. And so we have 5 different stations like that so that you can really roll up your sleeves and get lots of hands-on training and application. So Dr. ShaRhae, thank you so much. It's always fun to be with you, and I appreciate just how much you support me as coach and friend, and thanks for all that you pour into our tribe too. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and everybody come. I want to meet you in person. It'll
Yes,
it'll be just great.
absolutely. Have a great day, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Christmas.